It was early December 2009, about a decade ago, in the dead of night, in the dead of winter, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I was running down the street barefoot, fleeing my apartment with blood coming from my nose and my mouth for the second time that week. And I was fleeing the individual I was in a relationship with, and a very, very abusive relationship for the last 2 years. And I had seen all of the warning signs of the grave danger that I was in and that was quickly approaching. I was isolated from my friends and my family. I was controlled financially. My passions and my dreams were suffering as a result. I was terrified. I was afraid. I walked on eggshells all the time. I allowed myself to blame myself for the extreme violence that I suffered, thinking if only I did something just right, or if I did something different, or if I behaved properly, maybe I wouldn't incur such violence. But I was incurring more frequent and frequent attacks and assaults that were getting more aggressive and more violent. At this point in time, I had suffered broken ribs, black eyes, bumps, bruises, scrapes, lacerations requiring sutures, stitches, and chipped teeth, you name it, all the injuries. And it was pointing toward the direction that it was taking. And it was December 18th, 2009, that I awoke and I underwent my final assault. And it was so severe, it lasted 30 minutes. And I wound up being choked, stomped, punched, hit, kicked, and I wound up with a bunch of broken ribs and a collapsed lung, a pneumothorax, and struggling to breathe, fighting for my life. It was a miracle that the 80-year-old woman who lived below us called the police, and it was Officer Ford and Officer Meese who came to my rescue and drugged my attacker out of the apartment and saved me. I then went to a trauma center as a trauma patient. I was hospitalized for a week, had to have a chest tube, but all those warning signs that I had been seeing and experiencing were pointing to the fact that ultimately, if I did not get out and I did not leave, I was going to lose my life. I was either going to be severely injured or be dead. And the story is difficult for me to tell because I was very embarrassed and very ashamed while all of it was going on. I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know how to reach out, and I didn't know how I was going to get out of that situation. I tell the story because it highlights those warning signs for other people. And in a world where 1 in 4 women will be abused and 1 in 9 men will be abused in a relationship, that's people sitting in this room. So I have a hard time telling this story, but I must, because those warning signs I saw, but I ignored for so long. And I really didn't understand the depth of danger that I was actually in. And it wasn't until I got the courage to ask for help and admit that I needed help. I needed people to take me out of this. And I needed to give up, and I needed to really reach out. And when I finally did that, I was able to leave that relationship. And I can't tell you how many times I tried But it doesn't matter how many times I tried and I failed. You keep trying, eventually you'll get out. Thank you.